morning. Since Scott's put his 8-week notice in, I guess he's moving on to the FBI director's job.
Yeah.
That's over. I'm here to introduce Stephen Stubbins. He's the co-founder and executive director of Transcendence Theater Company. He's been here once before as a smaller visit, and he's worked with all kinds of famous people, including Dick Van Dyke, Barry Manilow, and Jason Alexander, and Conan O'Brien. And he does lots of theater stuff, even on his own spare time, all around the country, all around the county here. And he wants to bring art to new levels of transcendence. So here he is, Stephen Stubbins.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And of course, Stephen Stubbins, Transcendence Theater Company, and we're best known for our Broadway Under the Stars concerts. And I'm curious, how many of you have actually been to a Broadway Under the Stars concert? Oh, great. How many of you have never heard of us before? You're like, a couple of you. Well, I'm going to start off, I'm going to show just a brief video of what the Broadway Under the Stars concerts are. But what I'm really excited about sharing with you this morning is our story of how we ended up here. A bunch of Broadway performers ended up picking up their bags and moving to Sonoma County and helping to save Jack London State Park. And then share with you guys some things about what we're doing right now and the ways that we can kind of connect. But first of all, transcendence. The word transcendence means to excel, surpass, or go beyond the usual limits. And really, we founded our company to go beyond the usual limits. And for us, it's so much about outreach and service. We work with so many different nonprofits. We ourselves are a nonprofit. We've teamed together with a nonprofit to help save Jack London State Park. We've performed for, I'd say, over 40 different nonprofits to help them raise money. We've given thousands and thousands of dollars to kids. We do projects with all sorts of different nonprofits with each of the big groups of artists that come in with us. And so I feel like we're very much connected to the mission and the sense of what you all do every day with the work that you do with Rotary. But let's start off, I'll show you our short Broadway Under the Stars video, and then I'll tell you more about us. It's fast.
Transcendence's Broadway Under the Stars, named USA Today's #2 outdoor concert venue you shouldn't miss in the U.S. Experience the best of Sonoma County food and wine. Huffington Post declares it the most unforgettable night of my summer. Top talent from Broadway and beyond. Performers from the Book of Mormon, Wicked, Mamma Mia, and more. Don't miss Transcendence's Broadway Under the Stars in Jack London State Park. Tickets on sale now.
So that's the show in 30 seconds. So we're about to enter our 6th season, but this all began with a group of us, a small group of founders who were Broadway performers. I was in Mary Poppins on Broadway, and my other founder, Amy Miller, was in 42nd Street. Her husband, Brad, was in TVs and movies. And we were looking for a way to make more of a difference with our lives and to really connect and be of service. I had that experience, I don't know if you've had this in your own kind of careers, but where the public would come in, we'd have about 1,000 people come to a show. You'd do the show, you have 1,000 people go out and leave, and you felt like you didn't have any connection beyond the actual work you were doing on the stage. So we had this collective sense that we could do more. So what it ended up leading us to was Amy and Brad were on a random trip in Mexico, down in Punta Banda, which is just south of San Diego, about 2 hours south of San Diego, or south of Ensenada. Has anybody ever been down to Baja, down there? Okay, so, right back there too. Anyway, on this random trip to Mexico, it's a vacation. They are driving down the road, this dirt road, and they see a little theater on the side of the road doing the musical Nonsense. And it's like, well, that's really interesting. It like, kind of looks like a really run-down little place where there's all these vendors on the side of the street trying to sell you stuff. And they're doing Nonsense, the musical. And so they laughed and they're like, haha, if our careers don't work out in LA, maybe we can move down here and start doing musicals in Mexico. Well, ends up 2 days later, they are going to turn in the keys to the VRBO that they had. And they go to this lady in the town, and they happen to mention this theater, like, what's going on with this theater? And the lady was like, oh, I'm on the board of the theater, I do everything in the theater. And they were like, well, we're starting a theater company. And the woman was like, you need to bring your friends down to Mexico and do shows at our theater. She's like, bring them down. So one thing led to another. We were like, well, we're starting a theater company. So the theater actually gave us the theater for free for 4 months. 14 of us quit or left our jobs and moved to the beaches of Mexico to start and found the idea of Transcendence Theater Company. But people kind of thought we were crazy. I'll tell you, it was this vision, this sense that there was more out there, there's more of a difference we could make, and this group of friends really believing in each other before anything existed. I was doing Mary Poppins at the time on Broadway, and I put in for a leave of absence from the show. And the show was basically like, you can't take a leave of absence yet because you haven't been here for a full year. I'd been there like 9 months or so. So I decided I was going to quit and I was going to do this. And so I went to my parents, who thought I was a little bit crazy. And then I went to my agent, and I told my agent, I was like, we have this vision. We want to unite health and wellness and outreach and service into the arts, and we want to do this through a theater company and through our Broadway friends and all these amazing performers that we've worked with throughout our lives. And my agent, who was making money off of me every week, stopped and looked at me and she said, 10 years ago, my husband and I sold everything we owned, and we got into RVs and we toured the whole country, and we spent 3 months down in Baja, where you're going to be, and it was the most magical times in our lives. I really think you should do it. And I was like, really? And then she said, and we wrote a book about it called Quit Your Job and Move to Mexico. It's actually written, it's on Amazon.com, you can order it. And I was like, my agent wrote a book about how I should quit my Broadway show and move to Mexico. So anyway, a group of 14 of us all ended up moving down to this area, and the first thing we did down there was we worked with an orphanage called Casa de Paz. We worked with these kids for a couple days, completely transformed our lives. It was exactly what we were looking for. There's so much just around each corner, so much need, so much sense of people maybe just wanting to become alive and being able to be, hands and boots on the street, as well as being able to bring people alive. So we were doing this outreach while at the same time using the power of musical theater. We were singing and performing and creating shows and doing things down there in the community, and the entire emotional level of that community just started to rise and went crazy. We had grown men would come and cry, and they were like, I haven't felt this way since I saw John Lennon sing Imagine. And we're like, it's just art connected to service and outreach and a personal connection. So we basically had this amazing experience, and we wanted to bring it back to America because we weren't going to do this forever in Mexico. So after the 4 months there, which transformed our lives, 6 of us decided we were going to dedicate our lives to it. We all moved to LA. And for about 4 months, we would meet in a room there, and we're like, how do we do this? What do? We were like, we don't want to just do shows in LA. We're not here just to do theater. It's about something else, making a difference. So we decided we didn't know enough. So we decided we would get in RVs for 2.5 months, and we'd tour the entire country looking for, number one, what town we wanted to end up in. And then number 2, we wanted to interview all the heads of these big theater companies and say, if you were starting a theater company right now, what would you do? This was during 2009, 2010, when the economic collapse happened, and theaters across America were dying. People were saying theater's dying. And the funny thing that we found out, though, is people have been talking about theater dying for over 100 years. There's articles that are like, theater's dying, it's dead. And one of the cool things that we discovered on this trip is that it's not dying, it's actually more alive than ever. That personal experience, that sense of community, that sense of collectively coming alive together and experiencing something, and passing on information and stories and history and all of that. So anyway, we planned this trip. We went all the way from LA to Arizona to Texas to New Orleans and to all the way to New York to Montana, to the entire trip. We interviewed about 450 different people. We interviewed heads of theater companies like Molly Smith at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., and Kirk Columbus at Trinity Rep in Rhode Island, and Bill Rausch at Oregon Shakespeare Festival when we were coming down there. We learned so much about what we wanted to become and who we should become. We didn't really have any money to do it. We had to raise money to try to get around the country. We needed about 40,000 to get around. We raised about 14,000 before we left. So we would shoot videos in trailer parks. We're in New Orleans, at the RV park, and we shot fundraising videos, and we would sing at yoga studios, and friends had a connection to a movie theater in Michigan, so we did a benefit there. Different things to make it happen. But along this trip, we came down through wine country near the end. And after talking with Bill Rausch and really the sense of Oregon Shakespeare Festival and what they really saw there with it being an international tourist destination. Has anybody been to Oregon Shakespeare before? Some of you guys? It's the biggest regional theater in America, actually. and it's remarkable, and it's become an international tourist destination. We came down through this area and we were like, oh my God, this is already an international tourist destination. We had a vision of not only connecting service and outreach, but also connecting nature, that sense of art and music and life, but connected to nature as well. And we had this vision of like the Hollywood Bowl. Has anybody been to the Hollywood Bowl before? It's a pretty phenomenal experience. So we came through this area and there was nothing like that here. And we decided this was it. So for a year and a half, we would meet in a room in LA and we would vision it. We didn't really have any money. My mom would donate hotel rooms and we would take trips up from LA to up here. We actually wandered around. We stayed in Guerneville once on one of our trips and would go to different wineries and be like, do you think people would like, Broadway theater here? That we could really make a difference in the community, that we could make some sort of an impact. And we would meet all these people, but it just didn't seem, it couldn't all line up. And so we decided to do some research. And we researched outdoor regulations in Sonoma County. And if you know Sonoma County very well, you know that there's lots of regulations, just across the board. But one of the things we learned is you can't have a season of outdoor theater in Sonoma County because of the sound regulations. They don't want wineries having events every night because of the neighbors, right? But the guy we were on the phone with said, but this is such a great idea, it wouldn't apply on state land. And we're like, okay. So then we started researching during this kind of year when we had, we're just meeting in LA and visioning this. We started researching other theater companies and all these outdoor theaters like the Hollywood Bowl and like the Central Park Theater and Theater of the Stars and different places, the Muni in St. Louis, and discovered that a lot of them started in parks. You would expect that they'd start on private land or that somebody bought a winery or something, right, and start doing theater on it, but they started in parks. So we're like, okay, state land, parks, and we started searching state parks, and the day before we started searching state parks, they announced they were closing the 70 state parks for the first time in history in California. So for 3 years we've been working towards this, and then the day after they announced that, we happened to be searching for it. So we hopped into a car, we drove up to Sonoma County, we went to Annandale State Park. We found some rangers there and we're like, we want to help save the state park. They're like, what, are you reporters? What's going on? And so they ended up talking to us for a couple hours, and then they pointed us to Jack London. They said, oh, they used to do some movies at Jack London State Park. It's amazing, it'd be perfect. So we took a trip, we drove out to Jack London State Park, and we have videotapes of us walking through that space. I'm actually going to show a little bit on this video that I'm going to show you after this. I was walking through that space for the first time, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is it. We can help save a park and really make a difference. So they were like, okay, we wrote the superintendent of the parks, and I don't know your experience with writing the state, but normally they're not very quick about writing back. He wrote back within 2 minutes and said, he said, let's do this. He told us later, he was like, I never would have responded to this email, but we just, we're in this place right now, and we're looking for outside of the box ways of keeping these parks open. He said, you have basically 6 weeks to put together a benefit for the park. We wanted to create a season of Broadway concerts, and he was like, 6 weeks put together, you have to prove that it's going to work. So we're like, okay. So again, we didn't really have any money, so we basically borrowed money from my parents to get all the equipment. It's just this empty field, as you'll see in the video, or you can kind of see in the video that we already showed, right? This empty field. So we had to get all the chairs, all the lights, all the equipment, the stage, all that stuff. And then we had to call all of our Broadway friends who were doing shows and be like, would you come out for free to Sonoma County and perform to be a part in helping to save this state park and in making a difference and to launch our theater company? So in October 1st, 2011 was the date, and we started to come up here. We moved up here 6 weeks beforehand, my mom and I, and we started to just try to get anybody to know about it, because nobody knew who we were. We named it Broadway Under the Stars. We started going, the first event I went to was a Rotary event, actually. It was a fundraising event for the Sonoma Valley Rotary. And we gave a silent auction prize of a couple tickets to that show, and that was the first thing we did when we first got here. But we started singing everywhere we could. We started connecting with the press as much as we could, and we had people laughing at us. They were kind of like, nobody's gonna come. They're like, you might get 100 people, you might get 200 people. But one of the wineries was like, it's nice that, we'll donate wine, but we know that it's not gonna be anybody there. And we had 900 people show up. We sold it out. And we had the head of state parks come and speak. And one of the one of the writers who was there said it was like an emotional sledgehammer between the eyes. It was exactly what we were after. It was art, it was all that stuff that's like a connection of a real song, right? Or a real moment, connecting with a real need and a real passion of bringing people together to do something powerful in a community. So that was our very first performance. The next year, laws had to change for us to do our first season of shows, but in 2012 we did our first season. We had about 7,000 people come. We did 14 nights of performances. And over the course of the last 5 years, which has gone by very fast, we've had about 81,000 people come. We've been able to give over $250,000 to Jack London State Park. And in addition to that, it's thriving and doing really well, but we've been blessed to get to work with like over 40 different other organizations, nonprofits. Each of our groups of performers who comes in works and does something in the community. Over the holidays for our holiday show with the Burbank Center, we wandered through the hospital and sang songs. One of my favorite things was that we sang Silent Night for the baby ward, you know, mothers holding their newborn babies, you know. But then going through that, but this year what we're doing actually is instead of doing different groups like we do every year, one year we did something with the Wilmar Grief and Healing with kids who've lost loved ones or parents or friends. As one of our projects, the next project we did with Teen Services, which is kids who are at risk, or I don't know what the proper word for that is because I know at risk isn't always the best words for that. But then we did Adobe House in Petaluma, which were people with memory care, which was completely transformational for us. So one year we did like a bunch of different organizations like that. Typically we do that. This year what we're doing is we're working with the Boys and Girls Club of Sonoma Valley, and over the course of all 6 different performances we're doing this year, including the one we did in March, we're working with the same group of kids throughout the whole year, and then they're going to come see the shows. And then you see how they transform, and how they come alive, and how they build confidence, and how they can hopefully then spread that out into their communities. So I would love to show this other video that kind of encapsulates some of the stuff I've been talking about, but also I'll tell you a little bit more about what it is we're doing, and also if anybody has any questions, just think about it, because I'd love to answer any questions or see how I can, you know, interface with you even more impactfully. So this video, you'll actually see some of the footage of us walking into the park for the first time. You also see some performers and stuff who are pretty notable, who've been out with us.
Welcome to our field of dreams. Are you ready to have the best night ever?
Brenda, can you tell everyone here what the word transcendence means to you? It means overcoming something and rising up beyond limits. Best definition ever.
Our company's mission is, through our hearts, in our lives, to encourage individuals to commit to living their best lives ever. It's just the beginning of a vision that has the potential to inspire and touch the lives of millions worldwide.
There was a cry going out to the arts. It happened to be here at the Jack London Vineyard. You didn't see it. They walked into this place and they said, I see a kid. Then they went out and they sent forth the vibration of love to come here to this vineyard, this beautiful vineyard, to share the arts with you.
To see it under the stars and see it here at home has just been incredible. I love this park. I just so wanted to stay alive. And I love that they're teamed up and they're supporting this park stay open.
Welcome to Broadway Under the Stars. Isn't this magnificent? This historic park was once home to the great writer, dreamer, and adventurer, Jack London. And I'm sure that he's thrilled that so many people are working so hard to keep his precious land open for the enjoyment of others for generations to come. You are sitting in one of the most unique and extraordinary open-air theater spaces in the world. We are a group of professional actors from Los Angeles and New York City who have a vision to build a company that would specialize in producing Broadway musicals under the stars, along with community service, engagement, and education programs. I once heard that our greatest challenges are often our greatest opportunities. And And in my eyes, there is no greater way for our company to come to life in Sonoma than by using our art to help play a part in keeping this treasure park open.
We know we're in really tough times right now, and every time you turn on the television, you just see this toxic dialogue, and everybody's tearing each other apart.
If you watch the news today, you see the strife that's going on in the world, right?
But that toxicity is not here in Sonoma. We are fighting against that, and the arts in the park and the inspiration that we all have today is the antidote to everything that we're seeing.
I got a word to remind us of the world today. It's called the arts. When the night has come, the land is dark. Oh, is the only light we see. Oh, I won't be afraid. I won't shed a tear, not as long as you stand my president.
Now, some may say that our dreams are too big, or that our ideas could perhaps be too philosophical. But in reality, it is in our own imaginations about ourselves that the great miracles of the future have always been discovered. And Margaret Mead said it best, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Because indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
That's it. How many of you guys have ever heard of Ben Vereen before? I'm just curious if Ben Vereen, the performer, he's a pretty famous Broadway performer who's saying it, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what the show is, just so you know what it is, and then just kind of the ways that if you are interested, that you can connect with us. So the show is actually 2.5 hours of pre-show picnicking and wine and food trucks in the vineyards of Jack London State Park. If you've never been to the park, it's such a special place. And the energy there is really special. We have about 10 or so different wineries each night that are pouring. So it's a great way too to kind of like if you want to try out some new wineries. We have about 60 or 70 throughout the summer. In addition to a wine that we blended with Benziger, who's our kind of one of our biggest sponsors. We have our own wine each year as well. So 2.5 hours, and then there's pre-show musicians, and there's food trucks as well. We have like the Girl in the Fig food truck, and the Tri-Tips Trolley food truck, and different food trucks each night. And then after that 2.5 hours, where it's very free and the community's out there, then everybody walks into those winery ruins, and it's just those walls, those open air winery walls, and then the stars above you. And usually the performance begins and it's light out, and it feels very intimate and close. And then as the show goes on, the sun goes down, and then it just becomes much more dramatic and romantic, and just magical. When you sit in the ruins, the cool thing is too, you have that big tree, which is Jack London's. It's like a big oak tree, which is just beautiful, as well as Jack London's cottage, where he actually lived and passed away and wrote a lot of his books. So it's such a kind of a cool, like, full Sonoma County experience when you got the wine and the history, and then also the magical kind of elements of the show. And then the show itself, we have about 20 to 24, typically, different performers in each show, a lot of them with Broadway credits. We have people from everything from Wicked to Mamma Mia to Hairspray, Book of Mormon, all these different Broadway shows. But we don't just do Broadway songs, we do a bunch of Broadway stuff, but we do a lot of pop music as well. We've done an opera aria or two in the shows, and what's really phenomenal is it's singing and dancing, but you're going to see a huge eclectic mix. You might have a tap dance from 42nd Street, followed by Nessun Dorma, followed by somebody singing Imagine from the Beatles, you know, and amazing dance. So that's kind of what the show is. The ways to integrate would be, obviously, you could get a ticket, come see the show. We'd love to have you. It'd be fun to have you experience the whole thing and get to be a part of the community. We also have about 350 volunteers every year. Actually, Debbie, I think you're a volunteer, right? Yeah. It's really fun. We actually do a circle up. But one of my favorite parts of what we do is every night before the show at 4:30, all our volunteers get in a big circle, and we all do we do inspirations, we do quotes. We don't sing as well as you guys do at the beginning of your meetings, but we do do you know the Teddy Roosevelt quote? It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled. Our entire volunteer crew and all of our performers and artists, everybody who works with us, does this quote together, and like gets everybody fired up, and then we start the night. And then we are out there. All the performers and stuff are out there greeting people as they come in. And so it's a great way, if you want to volunteer, it's a great way to feel like you're a part of it. It's a great way to meet a lot of new people. It's a great way to make a difference. And it's also a really cool way to meet a bunch of Broadway performers who are here from New York and get to kind of connect with those people as well and learn from them or just have a good connection. So, and then there's ways, obviously, that you can donate, all these other ways that you can integrate with us as well. But in addition to what we do during the summer, we're also doing a holiday show again at Luther Burbank Center, which we're going to announce really soon here. But I guess I'm most curious, does anybody have any questions or thoughts or ideas?
Sure.
You have a mic too. You're so prepared.
So we have a group that's working with the homeless, and there's a group that's working with seniors and getting them prepared for disasters. If I wanted to communicate with you about that, what would I do?
Yeah, I'll give you my card. We actually just partnered with a Petaluma Rotary and performed at PEP Housing, which is a big organization, I guess, for seniors who can't afford. And we just did a project with them, and it was basically put together with the Rotary Club. So I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'll give you my card.
Wonderful. You make me cry.
Thank you.
Great. Really great.
Thanks. It's an honor to be here. Anybody else have a question? Or just want to give me a card? Yes, David.
A couple of things. One is, I just want to say that I have been to your site in Glen Ellen, and the production values were just fabulous.
Oh,
I saw Sutton Foster there.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I'm ever going to recover from the idea that all you need is an air conditioner and you can be the man for somebody like her.
She sang a comedy song about if you have an air conditioner, you can be my man, because it's so hot in New York City.
Yeah, it's awfully good.
Yeah.
So you're interacting with nonprofits and attempting to add value, or do you fundraise for them? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, the big way that we fundraise for nonprofits is we perform for them. So like, we're going to be performing for free for ArtQuest, the Santa Rosa High School, with kids who are young artists. They're doing a speakeasy fundraiser next week, I think. And we're going to be, we've given, well, in addition to giving thousands of tickets to auctions, live auctions. So they're going to live auctions 6 VIP tickets off. And then we have 2 performers and a keyboardist who are going to be there. And they're going to perform a couple songs. But we did the same thing with the YWCA in Sonoma 3 weeks ago. And it's just getting that energy up and getting people to feel something, and then opening the door to making more of a contribution. That's one way, you know. But then in addition to that, it's also just creating magical moments that they can use, and they can take pictures of, and they can put out to their people about what we're doing with them and those partnerships. Yeah. Is that accurate? I mean,
if you want to volunteer, what's the process?
yeah, I'll give you my card. If you want to volunteer, there's on our website, you can go to a volunteer. And actually, the website's on there. bestnighthever.org is the easiest one to remember. bestnighthever.org. But you can go on there and sign up to volunteer. And you just sign up. We have our volunteer orientation in a couple of weeks here, I believe. And there's everything from, we have volunteers, in the park we need about 45 volunteers each night. And you're going to be tearing tickets, you're going to be ushering, you're going to be pouring wine for people, you know, whatever it is. But then also we have volunteers who help us put out postcards and posters. We have volunteers who even help drive the artists to and from the airport. And it's really cool because they get to connect. And then we have people like housing sponsors in Sonoma who will house the artists throughout the summer. And we've made some of the deepest friendships and connections through that. get the feeling I'm done? All right. Thank you so much.
Job for you. You must draw and read.
You took all of
Okay, so it's 668-7564. All right.
And we have a winner. Thank you very much. And we have a gift for your theater notes. So, thank you very much. Okay, young lady. Joe took care of that last time. We're back to little cars again.
You got it.
Okay.
All of them?
Shoes.
Win.
Oh, not the winner, but our man Linton brought Highway 12 strawberry. And that's the last one. Full disclosure. We have a minute. Mr. McLaughlin wants to talk.
So, believe it or not, September 2nd and 3rd is not that far away. And the significance of that is Cajun Festival. We're beginning to begin the marketing for Cajun Festival, and we're going to use Facebook a lot more than we ever had before. We had really great success with it last year. We had over 3 times the amount of pre-sale tickets, largely because of the advertising on Facebook. So we're getting smart on it. One of the things that we did that was wrong to begin with is we created a group page for the Cajun Festival rather than a business page. So we have redone that. We have a new page. It's under Sonoma County Cajun Zydeco and Delta Rhythm Festival. So if you would all please go to that on Facebook and like it, and then if you would begin to spread that and invite other people, your other Facebook friends, to join that and to like it, then it will begin to spread. And once that happens, the Facebook algorithms will start picking it up and will get spread out much more. But it's really important that we start with our core group and get everybody to like it. So please go to the site today, like it, and go from there, Jerry.
Like it and share it.
Like it and share it, by all means. Share it to your friends, yes.
What's the page again?
It's Sonoma County Cajun Zydeco and Delta Rhythm Festival.
You can all expect an email from Michael Fells that we get our group mail that will detail how to get to this site and how to like the page. So we can start out with us being the core of moving this along to publicity for all.
Okay, thanks, guys. Let's see. I have a cartoon. See, these guys are all clowns, and they made a big seltzer bottle in the clown general saying, "Good work, men, but let's pray we never have to use it." Good, huh? And a clean enough for Joanne Worley joke comes from Charlie.
Okay. There was a fellow nearing the end of his life in a hospital bed. His wife was standing there next to him, and he said, "You know, honey, you've been with me all the way. You've been by my side. And you know, when we left the church at our wedding, and I tripped down the stairs and broke my leg and couldn't work for a year, you were right there." And then in 2007, when I invested our nest egg and leveraged it into real estate, and we lost it all and lost the house too, you were there, and you were there when I got my diagnosis, and you're here by my side today, and I'm beginning to think you're just a damn jinx.
That was funny and clean. So thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Good meeting.
Narcissist and it's
Happy trails.
Trails to you.